And now, a brief word from Bear Bites.
After 3 years, the Amazing Digital Circus has finally ended. Closing off with a well-earned theatrical release of its final act, I took the effort to actually go see the thing live. As someone who has followed this show from the very beginning, I wanted to ponder on its legacy a bit. Did it stick the landing, and where do we even go from here? Backstory time. Glitch starts with Kevin and Luke Lerdwichkel, two Australian brothers working on a channel known as SMG4, which was Super Mario Glitchy 4.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
What I didn't mention was that Kevin was 15 at the time, so yeah, SMG starts a bit trite in the disposable nonsense content for kids that 2010's YouTube was adrift with. But it's a start, and a good start for this story. Kevin and Luke would continue to work together and develop their skills as animators and storytellers. They'd start integrating Gmod animation, advanced editing techniques, and eventually we get to them making two new series that are spin-offs, Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise. These would be a significant step up in quality, but due to being based in the SMG4 universe, they were inherently based on already existing intellectual properties. Both Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise would do decent on YouTube, and they currently sit at approximately 5 million views for their season compilations. Glitch had found a successful business model, merchandise being paired with an animated show. You know, basic Disney stuff.
What's HUAC?
It's the House Un-American Affairs something or other.
Wait, Disney ratted out animators for being communists?
However, finding the long-term appeal of SMG4 fading, the brothers would choose to hire Liam Vickers of Cliffside fame. We do not have time to talk about Cliffside, but go watch the pilot. He was to act as the director of the next Glitch project, with the brothers producing. This would end up being Murder Drones, the first smash success for Glitch. More importantly, Murder Drones isn't based on an already existing IP or setting. It's its own animal with its own lore, its own art style, and its own ideas. It attracted a fan base of both adults and children alike. So Glitch, after the successful release of 5 Murder Drone episodes, is raking in the cash from ad revenue on YouTube and merchandise. They decide to take another risk and release a new pilot, which was The Amazing Digital Circus, released on October 13th, 2023 to great interest, and I mean great interest. It does gangbusters, blowing out both Murder Drones SMG4 and the various spin-offs immediately. The show was written by Gooseworx, a prominent composer, animator, and creative who had worked on tons of projects, including Monkey Wrench, some well-received orchestral covers of Undertale songs, and helped make songs for Has-Been Hotel.
It starts with...
It's got an absolute boondoggle of merchandise and fans alike, a huge variety of spin-off projects, fan works, and fan art. Not bad for a studio that got its start for making videos that look like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But what is this all about anyway? Well, the story follows Pomni after seemingly being trapped in a digital world. The circus, led by an AI ringmaster and your bitch, Kane. But she's not alone, as other humans are stuck here and along for the ride too. We have Gangle and Zooble and Kinger too, Ragatha, Jax, and
Jonesy.
Anyways, each episode primarily follows the same formula of the gang going on one of Kane's adventures, from haunted houses to fast food restaurants. Why are they all here? Well, suck it up for 80% of the show and maybe they'll answer it. Okay, I'm sure you're wondering what my thoughts of the Amazing Digital Circus are as a whole, and to cut through the bullshit, I think it's a fine show, when looked at properly. I think if you are expecting a mystery to unfold over the 9-episode runtime, then you are going to be disappointed. I mean, I was initially, but I came to realize that I don't think that's what the show was meant to ever be. To me, it's pretty obvious that Gooseworx is going for a character study kind of deal, something like Sunny Boy. With that in mind, from start to finish, I got what I wanted. Was it perfect? Some of it was kind of bland, looking at you, episode 2. But I do think it was quality through and through. The quality part I don't think many people would contest. The fact that a 3D animated show to this caliber was made for YouTube to watch for free is kinda baffling to me. Nothing felt cheap, which is impressive because they did so much with so little. 9 episodes at this level? Man, kids these days are spoiled compared to what I grew up with on this platform. Love me some Eddsworld though. No, the thing that most people would have an issue with is its ending. Not that it's a bad ending, no, it's a great ending, but we're gonna get to that.
We think your
ideas suck!
But it ended up leaving a lot of questions unanswered for those hungry loreheads and for those hoping to spend more time with the likes of Ragatha, Gangle, and Zooble. For better or for worse, let's take an honest look at how the show handled its ending, my feelings on it, and what the future has in store for Glitch. So our lovable cast turns out to be digital copies of actual people. The idea of using brain mappings as training data to emulate real people is an interesting concept. Not just for the scientific possibilities, but rather you are getting a vectorized copy of a living, breathing, feeling person. A snapshot of a moment in life, a non-complete view of a complex figure. In that moment, the digital circus poses an alternate take from reality where your current self grows in a social vacuum with others who got trapped in, each interacting with their own incomplete view, which skews from the path and creates a different entity altogether. Pomni is different from her human self, same with Ragatha and Gangle and so on and so forth. But out of all of them, Jax was the most interesting of the bunch when it came to this question of identity. The question of what defines a person if not just a set of behaviors on repeat. And the movie takes the audience through this question and responds with deafening clarity. All throughout the show, Jax has been the obnoxious character who puts on a face and lets no one in. They are purposely written to be an asshole, and one that I hate because this archetype is pooped from a butt in my opinion. I really don't enjoy when stories use this trope. I've seen enough Asukas, Felixes, and Bakugos. In a lot of them, after countless chances, the character is redeemed and finally accepts help from others. After God knows how many seasons, now it finally clicks for them, and I'm sorry, but that just isn't realistic. Maybe it's just me, but after a certain amount of rejections and closing doors, I'm gonna walk away. You're not anyone's full-time job. You have to meet others halfway. That takes a lot of self-reflection and hard work to get through. It's a long road. I've been there, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there relate to that. So when the decision came to make Jax a cautionary tale for failing that journey, I did a 180. This was the archetype done right. Their arc, in a lot of ways, reminded me of another movie called I Saw the TV Glow. Great movie, different execution entirely, but similar theming. I think it deserves its own video one day, but for the purposes of this essay, both Jax and the protagonist of that movie, Owen, failed to come to terms with themselves and their true identity. Each time someone tries to reach out to help them, they reject the idea that someone outside of themselves understands. They need to keep the status quo, because that's what normal is. That is the expectation of others, and someone trying to come in is just an excuse to be hurt again. If you are screaming the word queer at me right now, 1, I can't hear you, this is a pre-recorded YouTube video, and 2, this is the epicenter of the queer struggle. Jax and the Amazing Digital Circus is a queer cautionary tale.
I'm just a misunderstood little chicken fetus in an egg that needs to be cracked open.
Maybe it's the Pride Month in me talking, or my bisexual aura, but I really appreciate this show's ability to not be as performative to its usage of queer themes. Not gonna get into it here, but I'm working on a larger sequel video of a show that does the exact opposite of this, and it can be a bit draining. It's refreshing to have an internet show actually care and take the time to have a nuanced take on identity. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, and I think it resonated well. When I was in the theater, I heard people crying at certain scenes. That is an accomplishment. No one can take that away from those people. This work justified its existence and left an impact on those who watched it. Something I want to leave on, a more positive note really, is that this movie's release is a harbinger of sorts. The weekend of its opening, alongside Backrooms and Obsession, it reigned in the top 5 of the domestic box office. Saying it again for those in the back, 3 of the top 5 box office performers in the US were from YouTube creators. They beat Disney, for crying out loud. That is fucking awesome! It got me excited, truly, to see a new generation of voices lead the charge. But it got me thinking, these homegrown creators are battling a very powerful force many storytellers face: perception. The Amazing Digital Circus, in this humble bear's opinion, has a great message that a lot of people need to hear. A message of accepting oneself and letting other people in before it's too late. You can argue the depth of how it portrays that lesson, sure, but it is one born of insecurities near and dear to those of my generation, that fear of being cringe.
It's kinda cringe.
The fear of not being accepted, the fear of not having a home because you are too different from the rest. Essentially, the embodiment of queer. There's a bit of a meta thing going on here, because this is how we interact with our media too. I mentioned it before in the Has-Been video, but the things that we choose to like and dislike feel as if they are extensions of us. In turn, the perception of these things, like the fandom surrounding it, matter more to the people than the actual thing itself. It's the fans versus the actual art, and I find that sad. The insecurities of people would drive them away from potentially resonating with a piece of art for the sole comfort of being in the norm. As a critic, I want to be blunt with you. Yes, you listening right here, right now. I'm not telling you to like it all, you don't have to, but please, embrace the new while you still can.